So as a sports chiropractor who treats a lot of runners, a lot of my beginner runners always ask, what are some really great exercises I can do that can focus also on injury prevention? Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Heather, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about. So many of my runners, thanks to the pandemic, really went ahead and started taking full advantage of the outdoors to really kind of help their minds, their mindset, allow for some breaks during, the work week and stuff like that. So what they did is they went out, they started running, but guess what happened? A few of those little aches and pains started stepping in, like shin splints, Achilles tendonitis, maybe some knee or hip discomfort. So what I've gone ahead and done is created my top 10 exercises focused around injury prevention. So with these exercises, they are designed to kind of really give you the strength that you would need to go ahead and make your running journey a fun one. Because guess what? Running is meant to be fun. You're outside, you're taking in the sunshine. Maybe you're also a trail runner, so you're getting, all that wonderful nature energy that can be provided. Now, I will say this, if you are currently having an injury, like say you are having shin splints, Achilles tendonitis, knee pain, hip pain, even low back discomfort, best recommendation is check out the other videos on the channel that are designated for those particular types of injuries. Let's fix that ailment first before really starting to get into some of these strength exercises. Now, the best part of all these strength exercises, you don't need equipment, all right? So I've created them, I've designed them. They don't require any equipment whatsoever. All they really need is a willing and able body, and they are designed around making sure that your run experience is a fun one. So guess what? We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna get started. And again, these are my top 10 exercises for beginner runners designed around injury prevention. All right, let's get to it. For all of you guys too, I've left time codes down below. So if you want to go back to a previous exercise or you want to kind of skip around a little bit, totally fine. You can totally do that as well. But these exercises are meant to kind of go from building up the core and then working into building up the legs, the quads, the glutes, the hamstrings, and then from there focusing on the final component, which actually is balance, because guess what? Running is a very single leg activity. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get started with exercise number 1. What we're gonna do is start with the first exercise. So we're gonna come down onto the ground, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually perform a bridge up, but there's a little twist to it. So if you are someone who is potentially gonna be prone to some more knee issues, or you have some low back discomfort that's a chronic thing, then this is one of those beginner exercises that you're gonna wanna do for you. So go ahead, come down onto the floor, get a nice carpeted area. Majority of us do have foam rollers, so you're gonna go ahead, you're gonna grab that. If you don't have a foam roller and you don't have a yoga block, you can take a couple pillows and you can kind of smush them together. Just make sure what we're gonna do is keep them so they're hip distance apart, okay? So I'm gonna come down onto the ground. I have my foam roller with me. I'm gonna lay on my back. I'm gonna have my feet planted so they're nice and flat on the floor. I'm gonna place the roller in between my knees. And the first part is I'm just actually gonna hold and squeeze, activate my inner thighs, which on a lot of us, our VMOs are weak, so we're gonna go ahead and start there. Once 30 seconds is over, hands are gonna be on the floor, and we're gonna lift our butt up and down in this motion. Notice that I actually don't hyperextend my back when doing the exercise. So you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna repeat this 20 times. Now, after you've done the bridge up, we're gonna switch gears and we're gonna go to a plank position. So how to get down into a plank and how to perform a plank correctly is a lot of times the things that we struggle the most with. So we're gonna go ahead and just review that. So again, I'm gonna come down onto the floor on my nice carpeted area. If I have a yoga mat, I'll use that, or like I'm using my mat now. I'm gonna come down, I'm gonna relax my body. I'm gonna place my arms so that my elbow is at a nice 90-degree angle. I'm gonna have my hands like such underneath me. I'm gonna go ahead first, dig my toes into the floor. I'm gonna engage my quads, and as I do, you can notice that my butt squeezes. From here, I'm gonna pinch and squeeze my shoulder blades, and then I'm gonna lift my body up, and I'm gonna hold the plank here. Now, We just need to hold the plank for 30 seconds, but a plank is a great core exercise, and it really does start to activate everything, especially the glutes, the quads, the hamstrings, the calves, the core, the whole entire body. If you did want to advance it, you could go ahead and lift one leg off the floor like I'm demonstrating now, but then don't forget you have to do the other one as well. So next what we want to do is we want to practice a wall sit. A wall sit is a great exercise again for beginner runners to really activate not just the quads, but also to get the ankle a little bit more in terms of strengthening. And also we're going to do it a little bit differently today because we're going to also work our VMO again, which is something that a lot of beginner runners, they still suffer from IT band issues or runner knee. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our roller to help promote strengthening our quad a lot more. So come against your wall, just like I am here, and you're going to go ahead and come down and pretend that you're seated in a nice high chair position. So from here, I'm going to go ahead, press the small of my back into the wall, take my roller, place it in between my knees. I'm going to hold and squeeze the roller, but at the same token, notice that I lift my toes up off the floor. And again, I'm just going to hold and squeeze in this position for 30 seconds. Now, if you're somebody who hasn't worked out in a while, this may be one of those exercises that takes a little bit of time to build up. So this next exercise, I'm actually going to use this box to help demonstrate it. You could use a chair with no arms. You could use your stairwell. Again, if you haven't met Cab, by the way, the office dog, he likes to make his presence in all the videos that you've seen on the channel. But what we're going to do now is focus on what's called a squat progression. So the idea here is to really start focusing on more single leg movement patterns. In the video on weak ankles, you're going to see this progression in there as well as part of one of the things to start testing out. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to be in a seated position. We're going to focus on not leaning forward to get up, but actually to come up nice and tall. Now, as we do this, what we're going to do, I'm going to demonstrate with my left leg just so you can see because of the angle of the camera. I'm going to come up, I'm going to drive my knee up towards the chest, put it down, and I'm going to sit back down. I'm going to come up, drive it up, and then put it back down. We're going to repeat this 10 times on each leg. Now, the second part of the squat progression, you're going to come up, drive it up, but you're not going to let it sit. You're not going to place the leg back down on the ground. You're just going to come sitting down. Notice that I keep my chest up nice and tall. As I do this, I'm never leaning forward. So again, here we go. We're going to come up, bring it up, and then sit back down. That's part 2 of the squat progression. Part 3 is where now you're going to take the leg, lift it up, come on up, and then come on back down. Come on up, and then come on back down. So really allowing for quad, glute, and lower leg involvement. So now what we want to focus on is a lunge. So the first thing we're going to start with is a static lunge. Okay, so a lot of us, when we start running, we notice that we're going to have a lot more tightness in our hips. Maybe we're prone to a little bit more low back pain or discomfort. Or we've had a lot of kids where our pelvis now is just anteriorly rocked forward a little bit, shortening those hip flexors a little bit more. So now we want to go ahead and use the lunge to take full advantage of stretching out the hip flexors, but also making sure our glutes and our quads are engaging. So for this exercise, I'm going to take a nice big stance here. And as you can see, I really have a nice open stance, okay? So I'm only 5 feet tall, but I'm going ahead and I'm really opening up that stance. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to focus on dropping my body up and down in this position. Right off the bat, you should feel a nice big stretch here. You should feel your glute engage, and you're going to go ahead and maintain a nice high chest position, and you're coming up and down here. Ideally, we want to shoot for 20 each leg. If you can only do half of that, totally fine, but do warm up to getting all the way up to 20 each leg. Now that you've done a static lunge, next we're going to move into a balanced lunge. So again, I'm going to use my box. You could use, like I said, your stairwell at home. You could put your foot up onto the second step. Or if you have like a lounge chair or a couch. You could use that as well. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put my right foot up, okay? Notice that I actually dig the toes into the bench, and I'm gonna step forward, okay, into here. Now, some of you may start doing this. You wanna really pull those hips further forward. You're gonna keep that chest up. You should feel a nice big stretch here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually go up and down in this position. So I'm just giving a little bit of a lunge in this position, okay? And I'm gonna do this 10 times each side. And again, you're gonna feel a big stretch happening, and it is gonna require a lot of balance. So the next exercise we're gonna do is a step up. We're gonna do this exercise just slightly different. So what's gonna happen is we're gonna come to our stairwell again. I always recommend that people start with the first step first. Get your bearings, because there's a lot of balance that's involved in this exercise. But notice that I go ahead and I'm gonna place the right foot nice and flat onto my box. I'm gonna come in kind of close so that the angle of my knee is at 90, so I'm not stepping back, I'm not leaning too far forward. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna come up onto my left toe, the balls of my left foot. And again, this is a lot of balance exercise. From here, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna focus driving straight up to the sky and then coming back down. So again, I'm coming straight up and straight back down. So again, I'm coming straight up, straight back down, straight up, straight back down. You're gonna repeat that 10 times to each leg. So now what we want to do is we also want to target the hamstrings as well, because they're equally important as we're working through our run cycle. The other thing is too, when we do these exercises, you're going to notice some glute engagement as well, which is also going to be very helpful in keeping you injury free. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come down onto our mat. We're going to lay flat on our back. We're going to bring our feet to a 90-degree position, or I should say feet flat on the floor, knees at 90. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick my right leg straight up to the sky. And now what I'm going to do is focus on a single leg bridge up. So I'm lifting up and down in this position, allowing for my hamstring to fully engage, while I also get some kisses from the office dog. So we're going to do this 20 times to each side. The next exercise you can do to also engage the glutes and the hamstrings is going to be where we're going to bring the knee towards the chest. So my feet are nice and flat. I'm going to lift up into a bridge position. I'm going to tap my toe, my left toe to the floor, drive my left knee in, and just simply 20 times hiking the knee in, activating a little bit of hip flexion on my left side, but allowing my hamstring and glute on the right to fully engage. Now the next exercise is purely a balance exercise. So for a lot of us, we struggle with balance, and because running is a very single leg activity, we want to really incorporate good balance. Now, first thing to do, just practice standing on one leg. Feel what happens with that ankle mobility. Now, if you have at home a foam pad, a dog bed, anything that's foam, you could actually go ahead and try now just standing on one leg on something that's going to be a little bit more unstable, like a piece of foam. You could take a couple of blankets, you could take a pillow. If you do wind up having a BOSU or a Dynadisc, anything like that, you could go ahead and do that as well. So I hope you found these 10 exercises helpful. They're designed around making sure that you stay injury free. Now, there's a ton of other stuff that goes into really staying injury free, because you could look at heart rate, you can look at proper nutrition, hydration. There's so much more that you could go into, but based upon the types of patients that I treat virtually, these are just some exercises you can incorporate to make sure that your run is safe, fun, and effective for you. All right, everyone, this was Dr. Heather. These are just my top 10 beginner runner exercises focused around injury prevention. I'll see you in the next video.